Hey, this video is going to be more so for just like updates and complaining, I guess. I wanted to say that I feel like a lot of people more so like my Roblox videos more than anything. And Roblox is fun to play and it's cool. And I know that my YouTube profile picture is a Roblox avatar, but I am not like solely a Roblox like content creator. And Roblox isn't like the only game I play. Obviously, if you've seen anything on my profile, you would realize that Roblox is just not the sole game. But because Roblox, like way back when I was on it, like often was easy enough to record, didn't have as many like graphical issues, or didn't take as much power to run and record, and because there was just a lot I was doing on Roblox with friends. Obviously, I had so much content of it that I could post. Sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't. At one point, I was just posting videos to kind of get the excess like background video down and get it off of my computer because it took up so much space. So yeah, I am completely aware that a lot of people like what I post on Roblox, and I am completely aware that it is one of those, videos that I do where the views and everything get pretty good traction. Like, I am aware of that. With that being said, though, I wanted to bring it up because there are a handful of other Roblox videos that I do plan on posting, right? Not solely to feed whatever, but mainly just because I have been playing Roblox a little more in my spare time, and I'm trying to test out some new games as well as make some progress in some other games. Hold on, is that a spider? What is that? Yeah? There's a bug on my ceiling. Okay, well, if it's chilling, I'm chilling. Okay, so yeah, that's basically something that I wanted to pump out for anybody that does see this video and watches my videos. You'll probably be seeing a good bit of Roblox content coming. I want to try some new things with Roblox, but I haven't necessarily gotten anybody to do it with, and outside of that, there are some things that I solely am still understanding. So whenever I get that all straightened and figured out, I will, you'll definitely see it. But for right now, I just, like I said, want to give a little bit of updates, a little bit of complaining. The whole Roblox thing, I believe, would be more so, a part of the updates, just letting you know what could be coming or what will be coming, depending on how long I'm on and how much I get recorded and what all I do. Outside of that, the whole complaining, this is something that hit me while I was in a shower today, and I don't know why it hit me. I don't know what dawned on me about it. But a long time ago, all right, something happened with my parents and I that upset me. I feel like as kids, we all have something that we can kind of relate to in that regard. Like when we were children, basically, right, if I had to just come up with something, one of my parents hit me for something that I didn't deserve to be hit for, right? Or they told me something that they should have never really told their kid, and it's not like oh, you were a mistake or something, right? I mean, I guess it could be something like that, right? Say they told you something like that when you were young, and that's the only time they ever told you, and it really just like set in with you from that point onward, and it pretty much only happened because they were having a bad day, or because they were upset at you, or they were upset at somebody else and ended up taking it out on you. Basically something that you didn't do to warrant it, right? So it wasn't your fault. Okay, well, something like that happened with my parents. And I mean, it's not just one thing. I've had plenty of experiences like that with my parents, but something like that happened with my parents when I was really young. Some years ago, back around the time when I was in like high school, I ended up bringing it up to my parents because it was like, hey, you said this or you did this when I was a kid. Obviously, it still hits me, and I think about it like to this day. And it would honestly be one of those bigger things that would kind of like feed at me and pump towards my depression, which I don't want to say I have depression or I had depression, but when I saw this quote where it was like, when you think about the past, Like when you're worried about the past, you've got depression. When you're worried about the future, you have anxiety, right? When you're not worried about anything, you are in the present. You are living in the now, which is what you're supposed to do. But we can't help but stress about something that might happen or will happen later on in our lives, or stress about something that has happened in our lives, right? Especially when you're young and life is really just starting to make more sense to you and hitting you, and you're being exposed to a lot more. And little news flash for those of you who are, it doesn't go away. It definitely doesn't go away. In fact, it gets worse. But as you get older, you find ways to deal with it, handle it, micromanage it, and keep it pushing. Some people turn to drugs or addictions. Other people, it's all just based on whatever it is that they're dealing with. But, um, you know, that's neither here nor there. This guy that helped me once has been asking for money from me. Like, I paid him for helping me like a while back, and since then, like every week, he keeps asking me for money. Like I'm just loaded, and I'm not. He literally just asked me for damn near $200 right now. I like a week ago, he had asked me for like 70, right? I gave him 100, like the week he helped me, right? And that was it. Which he didn't even like demand I give him 100, but I gave him 100, right, as a thank you. And this man asked for 70 like the week after. It's like we don't have that kind of relationship. A, but B, I'm broke. Like that's I don't just have money to give like that. I gave that to you because I felt like I needed to pay you back. You helped me, right? And now he's asking for almost 200. Mind you, we have not communicated throughout that time. I don't know what's going on in his life right now, but that's crazy. Um, but yeah, like I said, stuff like that, and I ended up bringing it up with my parents like years ago, and I remember it was more so my mom who had said, uh, she would gaslight me, saying that never happened. She doesn't remember it. Blah blah blah. Like when I used to kind of bring it up way back then, right? But she has that habit of like gaslighting me because I guess she's ashamed of it, and if she forces this idea that she doesn't remember it, then she's gonna assume that I'm gonna do the same. But that's not me, right? But B, to add to that, like when she did actually admit it and come full circle with it, she was like, "You're an adult now, or you're getting older now to where you're almost an adult. You can't hold grudges. You can't hang on to stuff from the past. You have to let it go." And to an extent, like looking back on it all now, and even then, yeah, I agree. Definitely should let it go, or should have let it go. Shouldn't let it be one of those things where it just eats at me forever and bothers me. But as an adult, right, you have to realize that whatever you said or whatever you did affected your child so much so that they couldn't let it go. That it bothered them all the way up until that point, and you're too selfish, you're too proud, you're too raised wrong to react to it in a healthy way, right? You can't admit blame. And that's not a good quality to have because that teaches your child that they shouldn't be allowed to admit blame, that they shouldn't take accountability, that they shouldn't take responsibility, right? And I've kind of noticed that not in both of my parents, but every now and then from one, right? So yeah, that's fun. That's the era we, at least I, and probably a handful of my friends were raised off of. I want to do a podcast talking with them about it because I have one or two who definitely want to talk about things that like we've all experienced in our day to day or we've experienced just growing up, and we want to have like a mini show to kind of spread the awareness or just talk because we used to talk a lot and we don't talk as much anymore now, but we kind of talk every now and then. So I know there's at least one or two who want to actually sit down, have stuff to talk about, and just talk and kind of expand on that. So I've been thinking about that, having like a podcast with X amount of people or different guests or whatever the case may be, and seeing how that all boils down. But I have planned on getting a new mic Haven't gotten it yet. For those of you wondering, YouTube does not pay me anything. I don't get views like that. But if they did, I probably would have gotten, excuse me, the materials for it so that I could actually have a setup for a podcast. But for right now, nah. But I want to go on because it's not just my parents. Over time, like growing up, I started to notice it in a lot of other people, right? So, one friend or one person that I thought I was close with would tell me something that happened to him, like him and them, because it's not just him, it's a handful of others, and I'm not going to use names obviously, but one of them got put in a situation where they ended up doing something sexual with somebody. And the reason why it was such a big issue, a big deal, is because like they're not allowed to, right? It goes against their religion, but also at the time, like they were super young and they shouldn't have been doing any of it to begin with. So it's kind of something that it's safe to say they would feel ashamed for, right? And they were telling me it at a time where it was kind of like a heart to heart where we were just opening up. And for some reason, I have that effect on people where they just like come out of the closet to me, or they're like heart to heart talking to me. And I don't see anything wrong with it. If you feel comfortable enough to where you can speak to me about whatever it is that you feel is deep or you feel is important, then, obviously I'm going to listen. Um, Now, being that somebody would give that kind of information to me or to you or to anybody else, it's understood that it's supposed to stay just between you two, and that's how it is. And it did for a long time. But over time, that friend would do things that like my mom would do, right? Gaslight me over not that specific subject, but a whole bunch of other stuff that they would have done to me or said to me or whatever the case may be. They would gaslight me. They would flat out lie to me, and when it wasn't anything of that sort, they would slander my name publicly. And it's like, why would you do that? We're supposed to be friends, we're supposed to be cool. And so, obviously, after dealing with that for X amount of time, I realized, okay, well, hey, if you're going to talk about this or talk about that, in regards to me, then I'll bring up this one thing you did with whoever. And I didn't say the name of whoever they were doing it with or did it with. I didn't say anything like that. It was just when they were put in a position where we were all hanging out and talking, and they were with one of those friends that they see in high regard, that they feel like that friend is kind of like a parent figure to them, or kind of like somebody that they kind of try to be on the good side of, right? They'll lie and say anything to keep that friend like at bay. And I mean, I get it, all right? To an extent, I understand. Do I think it's cool? No. But to an extent, I do understand it all. So it's like I can't blame you for being ashamed or being scared or whatever of that, because if that friend is heavy in religion and you're doing something that goes against that religion, even if your family isn't that heavy in the religion, then I mean, you kind of just deal with it as it comes, right? But once I started realizing that people are just going to use and abuse you to their own heart's extent, that's when I realized, okay, I have to be the person who moves on and like accepts things for what they are, and who can kind of like stomach things and take things, um, I guess the way they are would probably be the easiest way to say that or explain that. So, for example, a little later on, like one of those same friends were hanging out with me and a group of others, and we were all just talking, chilling, having fun, doing what like we used to do normally. And one of those friends ended up saying something along the lines of like, I do this or I do that, right? Which is like completely far from the truth. It's straight up slander, right? That's not something I do. And I guess they were all laughing about it, making like a heart about it is probably like the term. Like they're all joking about it, thinking it's funny, but it's like I know for a fact I don't do that. So this is one of those things where you're using me as a joke, like to your heart's extent, and I'm like the butt end of your joke, and it's like I've done nothing to be the butt end of your joke. Like, I haven't hurt you, I haven't insulted you, I haven't done anything like that. Why are you using me as like your crutch to make other people laugh, right? Which, I mean, I guess if you're close enough friends, then sure you can. But at the time, we weren't like super close. We were just like close enough to where we can hang out with this mutual group of people, and it was just okay. Where the hell did that thing come from? Did it come from the sky? What the hell? But this is an old recording, so I don't really remember a lot of it. But yeah, so that was going down. And the thing is, something about me that people like fail to realize or don't believe is that I have really good memory. I feel like a lot of people say that, but I mean that, right? Like, if you tell me something that I think is important, or if you tell me something that was happening like during an important time, if you tell me something that like really mattered, or I had to make like a mental note of, okay, you know, I need to remember this in case whatever happens between us, not as like a assurance that you won't open your mouth if I say or do something, but more so in the sense of like I need to remember this just in case, you know, we need to talk it over, or if we're in the middle of a conversation and somebody brings something up, I know to change the subject so it doesn't offend you, right? Like, I remember stuff like that, and I remember stuff like that a lot, right? Like I said, the whole thing with my parents, I remembered when I was like that happened to me, like I said, as a kid, so probably around like 8, 9, right? I was damn near 20 and still holding on to it, right? Um, and that's not the only thing. Like I said, it's not just with my parents. It's with friends as well, right? And it's with a lot of people, just in general. Like, I don't forget, right? I do not forget. The bigger thing that I feel like I would forget are birthdays. If I'm not celebrating it with you every year, then it doesn't get marked on my calendar. If it doesn't get marked on my calendar, then I'm not going to get reminded about it. If I don't get reminded about it, then I personally won't remember it. But then again, birthdays, like certain names and whatnot, aren't a part of like my memory that I definitely like know, right? It'll be more so, like I said, stuff that at the time seems kind of big or important to me based on everything that's going down. So, for example, like I was saying, this friend just slanders my name. This was like 3 or 4 years ago, right? Like 3 or 4 years ago, right? And I still remember it. And it's not like I'm forcing myself to remember it. It's just, it sits in the back of my mind. So I ended up bringing it up like a year or two ago because something had happened where we were talking about something, and I guess they were asking for some clarification. Like, hey, have I ever done this? And it's like, yeah, you have. It's like, when did I do that? It's like, oh, we were talking about this, we were talking about that. You said this. And it's like, I didn't do that. It's like, yeah, you did. And that wasn't the first time that something like that has happened with that, I guess I can call them friend now, because every now and then we'll talk, and because we have like such a big break in like speaking with each other, I guess it keeps the friendship somewhat like not a mess. But stuff like that will happen, and it's just like, okay, well, you fool me once, shame on me. You fool me twice, like it's not gonna happen. You won't fool me twice. So if it's something with them that they feel like they need to deny, or they feel like it's embarrassing, or they feel like they don't want to own up to, then it's like, okay, well, it never happened, right? It's kind of like, I think a lot of people don't remember their own shortcomings. They remember everybody else's, and they hang on to and hold on to everybody else's shortcomings. And I guess that's a normal human response, but I kind of remember everything. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why it's that way, but people will gaslight me and try to argue and deny that that's ever something that actually happens, when that's not true. It definitely did happen, and I was there. Like, I know for a fact it did, And so when stuff like that happens, I kind of learned to distance myself from those people. And they will come back and talk to me and be like, hey, we haven't hung out in a while, we haven't talked in a while, what's going on? And it's like, well, I mean, to you, Like they'll tell me that I just flat out like cut myself off from them or disappeared or stopped talking to them. Like to you, yeah, you'll probably see it that way. But to me, that's not the case. To me, you've done something that you didn't apologize for, that was pretty sick, and you think it's funny or you don't care about it, but you're taking shots at me, right? And it's like you can't expect me to want to stay in your circle or want to stay talking with you or wanting to stay friends with you when that's the kind of energy you give off, right? And it doesn't just happen with friends, like I mentioned before, way back when. It happened with family. And obviously, that first thing that I talked about with my parents is not the only thing. It was just one of the earlier ones I could remember. It's happened with coworkers. So I'll have coworkers that I used to talk to like every day whenever we worked. And we would always have each other's backs and just have a good day because we knew for a fact we could rely on each other. And then something will happen and it will split that like divide. It will divide us up and we'll stop communicating and we'll stop being cool. And they'll look at me different or treat me different and wonder like why on earth am I not still there with them? Why am I not, doing whatever with them? And it's like, hey, you remember when you did this? You remember when you did that? Yeah, like you're showing your true self. You're showing your true character. You're letting me know if I should be giving you any more of my time, attention, or like kindness. And you essentially do it like upon yourself. You do it onto yourself, right? But you're so like confused thinking that, oh, I just randomly decided to say this or do this to you. And it's like, okay. I mean, if you're too blind to see that you are the problem, then we shouldn't be talking to begin with, right? And maybe that's what maturing is, or maybe that's a piece that plays into maturing is learning to get over those hills and be better. But it does take time to understand that, right? It's not something that happens just overnight. And I slowly learn. I'm slowly learning. I'm slowly moving through it all and understanding. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much that. That's something that I want to talk about. Like I said, I was in the shower and it just dawned on me randomly. I don't know why. And I was like, I'll talk about it. I wanted to bring up something I remember like in the shower when it first came up was be super mindful or careful of who you cross or who you hurt or what you do to step on whoever else's shoes, right? Even if you don't actually mean to do it, even if it happens, just by accident, whatever the case may be super mindful of that because like me holding on to a burden like that or thinking about a burden like that, you could call me like insane or petty or whatever the case may be. And I mean, call me what you want, but at the end of the day, you're upset that you did something that you shouldn't have done and I didn't let it slide. I didn't let you take account. Like, I didn't let you ignore accountability for it, right? So, I mean, be upset with me if you want, but it is your fault at the end of the day, right? But you got to be very careful about stuff like that because one day you could do it to somebody who has access to weapons or somebody who is a lot less nice, to somebody who you might have thought was a friend at the time or you might have thought was cool to joke around like that with, but it isn't. And then you'll end up missing or dead or on the news or something like that. Be very careful. Post COVID, everybody has been a lot more, how do I say it? A lot more unhinged. They've been a lot more insane, like actually insane, thinking that they're the main characters or thinking that they're this or they're that or whatever the case may be. And it definitely like makes them crazy, So be very like careful what you do, who you do it to, how you do it, because you never know what can happen to you. So yeah, I mean, I'm not like so big on the whole whatever that I'm just gonna snap on somebody and take a life or something, right? But I am one of those people who just don't forget. So, yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about. And don't forget, most likely more Roblox content coming. I made a video. I think I made a video about it. I remember talking about it, but like friends only playing X amount of games. If I didn't, I might end up doing something like that, but I'll probably forget. But I know that was something I was talking about. Friends making X amount of games or like playing X amount of games. So I've been thinking, okay, well, I'm going to start doing the same. So you will probably see like only X amount of games from me for a while until I decide to change it. So, be prepared to see a whole lot of this game or that game or this game or that game. And it could be like update videos where I'm complaining. It could be something that's happened in my day today that I want to talk about. It could just be like gameplay video. Like I said, I'm trying to do some things differently. So, yeah. I don't think a ton of people are going to see this anyway. Usually, if they're longer videos, nobody really sticks around unless you're just listening to my voice while you sleep or something, which a lot of people don't. So, yeah, peace out. Hope everybody's doing good. Eat my balls. I gotta say that. That'll be my little tag out for a while. So, yeah, man. I'm going crazy. I'm hungry. Anybody else hungry? What are y'all eating? I don't care what y'all are eating. You don't care what I'm eating. Bye.